Small cap oil and gas exploration and development companies continue to come up against resistance by local authorities to allow licenses to drill. One such company is Europa Oil Gas, which is making a new application for the Wrestle field development in Lincolnshire. Its chief executive is Hugh Mackay. He joins us now. Hugh, welcome.
Good morning.
But in fact, Wrestle, you are further down the pipe, if you forgive the pun, and in fact you've actually got oil there to bring out of the ground.
Oh yeah, I mean Wrestle was discovered in 2014. We've drilled the well. All we need to do is put a nodding donkey on top of it with some separators, storage tanks. But to do that, we need planning permission, and it's been a struggle. And as investors will know, our planning appeal in December was turned down. So we're going back. The partnership, Egdon are the operator, and the partnership firmly believes there is a fix to this. I don't want to go too much into the planning inspector's decision, but we have fundamental issues with it. So we will be going back
and making a new application, or do you think there will be an appeal against that one?
Making a new application, although we haven't ruled out other avenues, which would be the legal challenge. And Wrestle, we believe, capable of coming on at 500 barrels of oil per day gross. So that will be 150 barrels net to Europa. It would more than double our existing production. And we're now at $70 oil. Yeah. So it's a good time to be bringing discoveries onto production. So we're keen to push this forward.
And the timeline for that, I'm bearing in mind new application?
Well, I don't want to steal Egdon's fire, but we will be submitting a new application during H1 this year, and I'd hope, if that went well, that we could be looking at getting this on production towards the end of the year. But we will be driven by the planning process in the UK, and it's slow and it's not easy. No. And we're not the only group of companies to be suffering from this. It's a very You have to go through it in a very systematic and careful manner and be prepared to deal with setbacks, because there will be setbacks. But
how much of this do you think is due to the fact that there's so much nervousness around hydraulic fracking? I know this is completely conventional, and you've reiterated this before, but it must be said again that this is not fracking that you are doing. But there seems to be so much resistance against the whole sector because of.
Yes, no, I completely agree. I mean, since I suppose three things all happened around the same time. There was Macondo, there was that film from the US Gaslands, and there was the Priest Hall earthquake. And it's a bit like a man bites dog incident. It captured the public imagination. Up until then, over the previous 100 years of conventional onshore UK activity, the general public was pretty well unaware of it and disinterested. But it's not the case now, and everyone is suffering from it, whether you're doing unconventional hydraulic fracturing for shale gas or doing what we are doing, a very standard conventional oil and gas development in the East Midlands, the heartland of the UK oil and gas industry.
What about the onshore asset you have in Surrey?
So we've got planning permission to drill the Holmwood prospect in the Weald Basin in Surrey. We've discharged 22 of 23 planning conditions. The remaining one is the traffic management plan. It's been recommended for approval twice by the council's planning officers, and the decision deferred twice by the planning committee. So we've done two things. One, we have referred the deferrals, or the non-determination, if you like, to the planning inspectorate. So a planning inspector will make the decision. But in parallel with that, we've also resubmitted the traffic management plan, a new one, and that goes in front of the planning committee on the 22nd of February. So there may be a decision at that point. And once we've discharged that condition, we can then start to move into the operational phase, and we'd be probably looking to start up the well operations towards the end of the first half of this year.
You've got Ireland as well, offshore Ireland, and there's a lot of speculation about what's happening in Ireland at the moment. Providence, of course, has a big asset there. What about the Europa Oil and Gas business?
Okay, well, we've got one of the biggest portfolios offshore in the Atlantic, Ireland, in the Atlantic margin of Ireland. There was a very interesting sort of news release just before Christmas when we announced that our licence 1620, which is next to the Corrib gas field, we've just completed a big tranche of work on that, and we've identified 2.5 TCF of gas in about 6 prospects and leads. So that's a big step forward. So we've got gas next to a gas field. The infrastructure is all in place in a country that's still having to import 40% of its gas. And it's all being imported through the UK or from the UK. Brexit isn't helping security of supply in Ireland. So in many ways, this Corrib licence could be the jewel in the crown. It's gas next to a gas field. So that's one we're very excited about. We've got 3D over the licence, so we don't need to pay to acquire that. We've already got it. And the next on that will probably be a reprocessing project to uplift the quality of the seismic to enable us to come up with drill-ready prospects. So that's one we're very excited about. And in particular, in one of the prospects, previous well drilled by Shell actually found gas. There's a 70-metre gas column. So, that has de-risked, if you like, the presence of gas on our licence. So that's exciting. And then there's the South Porcupine licences. And last summer we raised money, and some of that was being used for a major programme of seismic reprocessing, which we're now in the process of completing. And we're very excited about that because we feel that it's going to increase confidence in our existing prospects in the South Porcupine and improve our ability to land some more farm outs. It's probably not going to change the prospective resources very much. I mean, they're already really big. We've got 2 billion barrels of audited resource. So adding more in, probably not going to help our share price that much. What will help is getting some farming partners in and getting these drilled. So that's, but we will be reopening our data room in May. And you'll be saying, well, what's new? Well, what will be new is we've got the reprocessed data, and it's much better than the data that Cosmos delivered in 2014. And we're seeing new things. For the first time, direct evidence of hydrocarbons on the seismic, gas oil contacts, oil water contacts. So that's exciting. We need to complete the work, but that is going to be completed by May this year.
And you got the money for all that?
We've got the money for all that.
Okay, you mentioned the share price. Let's just quickly bring up the share price in the context of what you want to do with the company from here on in, because we've spoken about the one leg here in the UK, the second leg in Ireland. You've been quoted as saying you want a third leg to the business.
Yes, we do. We've got a great position in Ireland, a good position in the UK. We need other ventures in the company, so we need to get that third leg. So we've got a team actively working on that right now. When we did the AGM, I said we were looking at 3 new jurisdictions. That's now up to 4. So we're looking at various opportunities across the life cycle, some pure exploration, some appraisal, if you like. And new ventures have to accomplish, get through the technical and commercial hurdles, which are very important. And also, we have to look at regulatory risk, political risk, and security risk. Those risks are quite high onshore UK, and we'd prefer to operate in countries where it's a bit easier. So we're actively looking, and as and when we land projects, then we'll announce it. But it's something we're taking very seriously. And as well as there are also 2 approaches to it. One is the kind of organic growth, where we go in and pick up specific licenses and grow that way, and that has a time period associated, whether you've got to process seismic, interpret it, get a farming partner in, drill a well, that's going to probably take place over a period of years. We're also open to fast-tracking that process, if you like, by considering M&A where it's appropriate, where you can get an instant third leg. And that was some of the reasoning behind the 2 recent board appointments that we announced
yes,
last week.
Yes, a chairman and a non-exec director, isn't it?
That's right. So we've appointed Simon Oddie and Brian O'Cahane. And really the primary motivation for getting them on board isn't to keep Europa running sort of steady, business as usual. It's business as unusual. We need to get our share price up. It took a setback in January there with the Wrestle announcements, and we're going to get the share price up by announcing activity, particularly in the new ventures space, that the market appreciates. And both Simon and Brian have got tremendous experience from previous roles that will be of benefit to us when we're screening new ventures, looking to find new ventures and landing them, and landing sound commercial deals. So that's what they're here for. It's to move the business on and create value for our shareholders, and we do that by getting the share price up.
Okay, all right, look, Hugh, we've got to leave it there, but thanks
very
indeed
much
for joining us. Hugh Mackay is the Chief Executive Officer of Europa Oil and Gas, and looking ahead to that news at the end of February from Homewood. Subscribe to IG for educational content, company insight, financial analysis and expert commentary.